this meeting of the Town Council of Washington to order, and I will ask for an approval of the agenda.
I'll move to approve the agenda.
All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
You also got the minutes from our last meeting. Sorry, that's the February 10th meeting, or did we just? I guess so, yeah. Any questions about the minutes? I'll extend you the courtesy of saying if you catch anything, it's okay.
No, I thought we were going to talk to
Okay.
Cheap screens now.
Okay. All right, so have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll move.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. For the mayor's report, a few things going on. I did attend the Board of Supervisors meeting last Monday. Thank you for the rest of the folks who joined me, John, Caroline, and Brian and Dwight. The county seems fairly focused on their way forward, and we all appreciate the architectural renderings they provided. I did make a very strong case on the part of the town that the current project is too big and too expensive for this community to absorb. Not that the prices solely falls on the town, but obviously in this county of 7,000 and change folks, for the median home values of $490,000 a year, you're looking at a $200+ a year increase in taxes to pay for this. For the median home, the per capita income in this county is $56,000 a year, and there just seems to be a considerable mismatch between the resources in this county and what it is they want to construct. I encourage them to consider reusing the old courthouse in addition to building a small new courthouse. We'll see whether that was heard or not as this debate progresses. I'm afraid we may not have heard that argument, and we'll have to sort through that as it works its way through the remainder of the process. That's it for the courthouse. I think plans are continuing for upcoming projects in town, and Ian's got moving toward further refining of plans for the spa. Mr. Abdo has hired a project manager, and they're working with Steve to sort of get everything lined up for him to begin working on his properties in town. So I hope as we head into summer, we will see considerable motion about town and some buildings that have not seen attention in a number of years. I want to thank Jerome Edwards, who spent some time this weekend walking around in the woods with me, looking at the town's water resources, and who's hoping to give us a sort of an assessment of where we think we are water-wise. We do have some testing that we'll have to contract out to be done on the well to measure the recovery from pump-off periods, etc. But optimistic after that walkabout that we have that we're in good shape. We'll just do some testing to confirm that. I will be, I know it sort of lost traction last year with my medical issues, but I will be calling a meeting of the Economic Development Authority in the next month, of course, before the end of the month, hopefully, but probably in April, to see what we can do to help along the new businesses that we have in town. And looking forward to this summer, between Mountain Diva, what we all hope to see happen with hayfields, and with the old log cabin on Main Street. So hopefully we can encourage those or help those businesses along. I think that concludes for my notes. Barbara, do you want to cover the treasurer's report? Gail, unfortunately, is under the weather. She's with us online, but Barbara's going to pinch it for her.
She's in with a spirit. As you see on the P&L, it's just a P&L report, broken down into 3 categories. General account is the first 2 pages, sewer the 3rd, and water the 4th. I'm not going to go through each individual line item, but if anyone has a question, I'd be happy to answer.
The bumper sticker is we're largely in line with expectations, and in fact running a little on the positive side on the budget for this year. So
absolutely, yep. We're looking good. We do a very good job in budgeting and maintaining maintaining our resources wherever possible. Also, an open invitation, March 22nd, which is a Saturday, 10 a.m. Town council is going to have a budget work session. That's a great time for you to come and provide your thoughts on any projects that you would like to see in town and ask questions about the detailed budget.
Questions from council? Okay. All right. Mr. Krim, do you have anything for us? Martin, can you hear us? And hold on just one second, we can now. Go ahead. Martin, can you hear us? Okay. Go ahead, I may have to, I'm muted, but. Go ahead, Martin, I'll pass on the salient points.
Hold on.
Okay.
Sorry.
Just a second, Martin. That's what happens when we try to move into the late 20th century. Martin, can you hear us now?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
All right, we can hear you, so go right ahead.
Okay, so with regard to the boundary line adjustment, the voluntary settlement agreement has now been signed and returned. I think it's fully executed, if not, I'm sure it will be. The attorneys have circulated a draft final order, and all that remains is some logistics in terms of doing the presentation on April 4th. So I expect that to go smoothly, knock on wood, but that's where we stand with that, and that's the major thing I want to report on.
All right, thank you, sir. And remind me, what's our court date?
April the 4th, it's a Friday.
Great, thanks. Nice way to start a long weekend.
Yes.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Dyerson couldn't join us because he's also under the weather.
Yes, but you have a written report in your packet.
Madam Chair, would you like to report?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We didn't actually meet in February because Black Cattle asked to postpone the discussion of Rough River to, I understand they've now asked to have that discussion at our meeting at the end of April. So that will be the fourth Monday, April. Just on behalf of planning, just to say thank you for this, for the P&L information. Just a reminder that we would also like to get on a quarterly basis the usage of the sewer and water, just so we can see the demand as we're improving new construction.
Yep.
Thank you.
ARB? Did not have any, did they?
They did. They approved the footbridge.
Oh, that's right, yeah. Thank you.
Not meeting this month.
That's right. So I did my notes backwards. All right. Mr. Jan Bradley, did you have any comments?
Just the contractor for the generator is pulling his permit, and this is the Culpeper supply for the propane tank.
Great.
Once they have those, they're ready to go. The pads are in, everything's ready.
This weekend, looks nice.
Yeah, everything's looking really good. So we're continuing to hold on to the generator for another, I told them to hold it.
Yeah.
We'll hold for another 2 weeks,
Yeah.
and then we'll update them. Hopefully, generator will go and I'll haul that one back.
It's the weather forecast, looks like it's going to cooperate.
Yep. The new floats for the aerator should arrive tomorrow. ESS is going to inspect them when it comes off the truck, make sure everything's fine. I'll double check them when I get in after lunch. And now that those are in, I check the brake on this construction seal, and then we'll start putting together a work plan to get basin number 2 floats.
Yeah, this is
Yeah, done in repair.
Okay, with that, I think we'll move into the main agenda item. I'm going to ask my IT guru to help me, we're really blowing it out of the water tonight. We're actually going to have a projection of the maps on the wall, so folks can really get a sense of what we're dealing with. The property, though, I think there was a late request from one property owner that has gotten flipped on these maps, so we'll set that aside for a moment.
Talk amongst yourself. I swear by the room. Oh, it's there. I'm gonna turn off the
Yes,
lights.
please do.
Yes.
First meeting in the
All right, so for general orientation, what we're talking about is a portion of this 5.28 acre parcel number 4. What you see in the lower right-hand corner there is the wastewater treatment plant. The area, you see Avon Hall up there, it's got sewer manhole annotated next to it, Rush River's off to your right. Let's see, the Edwardses is the building sort of bracketed in between the 2 lines on your left-hand side, right below the annotation, down near the left-hand corner. The area that's sort of highlighted here has been, as we'll step through the slides, has been the area that's been, there's been a question raised by both the Edwardses and by Drew Mitchell about potential sale. I did take a position before they did this work of saying that at a minimum we wanted to preserve at least 2 acres around the wastewater treatment plant. I think that's a good standoff and gives us some room should we need it in the future for construction in that area.
So I'm sorry, is that 2 acres on bracketed off?
The area highlighted there is a little less than 2 acres.
Okay.
So yeah, the shaded area is the area that we're going to talk about tonight. Well done. Come on, you can do it.
I swear it worked.
There we go. Hey, on the right screen. So this is the section we talked about last week that set off this conversation. That's the roughly 1/4 acre that the Edwardses are interested in directly behind their home. That orange line on the right-hand side is the current plan for the trail, winding down from behind the schoolhouse and over. I'm going to ask you to ignore this annotation for a moment. That is, so Mr. Mitchell came back since our last meeting and said, okay, well, if you're considering doing this, I would be interested in this other parcel that directly abuts behind. Essentially, I don't know if anybody had the opportunity to go walk that area in between the 2 meetings, but it's largely wooded once you get out of the edge of that field and topographically challenging, shall we say. It's mostly goes down into a little bit of a gully there and then comes back up behind Avon Hall. So that wooded area he would be interested in purchasing and preserving as part of this. The McIntyres had sent us a note earlier today saying their interest. I think that on this graphic that got misinterpreted. I think they're actually interested in a piece of property that the town does not own because their house is actually just north of the Edwardses. What's highlighted there is McIntyre is actually not owned by them. So I think they're just a little confused on the property that the town owns, and we'll clarify that. So I'll ask you to sort of ignore that annotation for our purposes this evening. Another alternative, of course, is that it could just remain with the town as a nature preserve. So I think the question before us tonight is if we're interested in entertaining the proposals from the Edwards and Drew Mitchell to buy 2 lots that do not have to necessarily, the Edwards lot's very specific. With Drew, I think there's some discussion that we've had about exactly where this would end, and I would somewhat propose that we would perhaps end it right there where the trail begins. He has agreed previously for trails across this property, but may just help us from a conflicting standpoint. I think all in that it works out to about 2 1/4 acres, maybe. That's probably being a little generous about what Drew wants, and we would obviously have a survey done, and to decide on the final boundaries of those lots. That the money, the purchasers would be putting the bill for that. So hopefully this is helpful for everyone. It's just sort of getting a good sense of where we're talking about. And the question before us tonight is whether or not to say, yes, we would be interested in disposing of one of these pieces of property, or both these pieces of property, and then setting in motion the process to do that. That would require a public notice, a public meeting, and then a request for sealed proposals by a certain date from the folks who are interested in making a purchase. And with that, I think I would open it to questions from the council.
On the top portion of this, the portion that says Mitchell where it's crosshatched,
Yeah.
that's the utility right of way.
Correct.
Okay. And then,
Yeah, I think that's the RDC right away, and then our sewer one is the
Right.
on the bottom there. Yeah.
right, 'cause I know the
Yeah.
power is
Yeah.
through there.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the part that's not highlighted at all in this discussion, sort of above where it says Edwards. Now, who owns that bit?
Right now, it's part of Avon Hall.
It is. Okay.
And that's where I think that McIntyre's got slightly confused about thinking that we still own that.
Okay.
And then it's just, anyway.
Okay.
So apologize
That's
for
fine.
the graphic.
That's fine.
But there.
And so where it does say McIntyre, that would be included in the Mitchell purchase? Okay. Okay. And I agree, I think if we took about 2 acres, so that it gives us plenty of room for the trail, it seems like a reasonable thing to consider.
Yes, ma'am? Or were you just looking?
No, I was looking quizzical, but
Uh,
I was wondering, I mean, that although they're labeled with certain names now, would be open to anyone to bid.
It would,
right?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And could
I
we-
just listed it that way as the folks who sent us letters.
Yeah. But would we be able to have a stipulation about how this property would be used?
I think we could impose that, and I would even suggest that we should, to limit it to be, preserved, or at least not developed in any substantial way.
Have we got any appraisal value?
Not
Yeah.
yet. I think wait until we take this.
Okay.
I didn't want to spend any money before we
Right.
make a decision.
Well, and the other part is, in the previous meeting where Fred was making the comment that if we sold a portion to Edwards, how that might impact the balance of the property in terms of value. I think if we're looking at essentially 2 purchases with the carve out for the town, it probably isn't going to be an issue because they'll have to be appraised at the essentially equal value of the acreage.
Yeah, acreage values.
I think we should definitely progress, as long as the wastewater facility has adequate room to grow. And I agree that keeping the new trail inside our purview would be best. But yeah, I wish it.
Patrick, any thoughts or comments?
The pond is outside the picture here, right?
Correct, yeah. Be up there roughly, well, just past where the label is at the top.
Right.
If there are no other questions, then I would request for, or move that we vote to move forward with making these lots available for sale and take such legal steps as we're required to set that in motion and notice the appropriate meetings to authorize it.
I'll
Is there a
second.
motion?
That was a motion.
Good.
I think I said motion. I started. You'll say?
I'll second.
Right, and we'll do a roll call vote.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, the motion is adopted. Barbara will take care of the usual things she has to take care of moving forward. Any, I didn't add any new business, anything else from the council before open it for public comment? I will open it for public comment. All right. Go right ahead. I do think we do have one special guest that I want to recognize. Go right ahead.
Okay, I'm going to be very quick. Within 2 acres that you're contemplating keeping for the town, there's a slope there, and a while back we had talked about if we ever moved to having solar panels to power some of the town activities, utilities, that's probably where they would sit on that
And
slope.
that's the part where.
Is that still within
Yes.
the 2 acres?
And I would suggest we'll probably push it up just a little further to capture the trail on our side too.
Okay.
But yeah, that open, I walked it twice in between the meetings just to make sure I was certain that, yeah, that all that open area there would remain inside.
Correct.
On the town side of the line. Certainly. I understand we have the new president of the Rappahannock Historical Society with us tonight. I want to make a couple comments.
Yes, I am Michael Dennis, acting as the president of the Rappahannock Historical Society, and I'm here to make the following statement regarding the appointment of an interim board of directors. The Rappahannock Historical Society, in accordance with the bylaws of the organization and at the direction of the last surviving officer of the society, has named an interim board of directors. Michael Dennis, himself, will serve as president. Casey Teal will serve as vice president. Helen Williams will serve as secretary, and Fred Kaplan will serve as treasurer. The interim officers will serve through the annual meeting, which will be scheduled in September or October of 2025, when a slate of candidates will be voted upon by the general membership. Eva Grimsley will continue as the manager of the archives and the office in Little Washington, and she has been appointed as executive director by the board of directors.
Thank you, Mr. Dennis. Thank you for being willing to serve the community. Thank you, and thank you for being willing to serve the community in this capacity. I know that the town is very, we appreciate the stewardship of your predecessors on the board, but we look forward to finding new ways to make the museum and archives available to the public, particularly on the weekends, except for when we have lots of tourists in town, and anything we can do to help along that process, to include drumming up some volunteers, we will be happy to support. I think I can speak with confidence on behalf of the council on that point. Any other comments from the public? One of you guys really gonna bring my bag in for a shout. All right, there being no other business before the council, I will close the public session and entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to.
1 second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. We are adjourned. We'll see you at the budget meeting.